Silent.
Shabbat Shalom, Israel. All our whole life, throughout this whole 400 captivity, we have been taught nothing but lies. But we got to understand that the Bible brings us back to the truth, and that's what we should stand on. So that's what this class today is going to touch on. First off, give me John chapter 17, verse 17.
The book of John, chapter 17 and verse 17. Sanctify them through thy truth.
Read that again.
Sanctify them through thy truth.
So the Bible, this is Christ speaking. He's telling us, sanctify them through thy truth. That's what the Bible is all about, truth, breaking down the lies that we have been taught. Sanctify means to make holy. Make the Israelites holy through God's truth. Read on up.
Thy word is truth.
Thy what?
Thy word is truth.
The word of the Bible, the laws of the Bible is what's true. Matter of fact, let's go get that truth. Give me Psalms 119 and verse 142. Because like in Christianity, they love to lean on their own understanding to get what the truth is. But the Bible defines each and every word of the scriptures. We don't have to lean on our own understanding to get the understanding. Go ahead.
The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
So God's righteousness lasts for forever, Israel. Read on up.
And thy law is the truth.
And thy what?
And thy law is the truth.
So the laws of God is what the truth is. That's what the Bible defines what the truth is. God's law. So anything outside of that, we're not talking about the world's understanding of what the truth is. We got to understand, we got to separate the world from the scriptures. That's putting out that natural man and building up that spiritual man. So God's laws is what the truth is. Let's go back to John 17 and 17.
The book of John, chapter 17 and verse 17. Sanctify them through thy truth.
So we're commanded to make our people holy through God's truth. Holy means separate. We separate all other truths from the Bible's truth, putting out all that false doctrine, Christianity, Buddhism, being a Baptist. None of these things is in the scriptures. Read on up.
Thy word is truth.
So the words of the Bible is true. The laws of God is true. Give me John 8 and 32. Another little basic precept we always start with. Because truth is throughout all the scriptures, and that truth is going back to keeping God's laws. We have to keep God's laws, Israel. We got to have faith in Yahweh that he's coming to save us out of this captivity, and we also got to be doing God's laws. Read that up.
The book of John, chapter 8 and verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
And make us captive.
And the truth shall make you free.
The laws of God, like we just went back, that's the precept, Psalms 119, verse 142. That is the only thing that is going to free us from this captivity. Applying God's laws in our everyday lives. Putting off pork. Putting off Christmas. These things are lies that we have been taught in the society, Israel. It's time to forget that stuff and come back to the truth of the Most High God. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 29. Because even during the time of Moses was warning us. The Most High always had Moses to warn us. If we keep the commandments, we will be set on high above all races. But if we break them, guess what? We will be put in slavery and below all nations. He also gave us another warning. Read that up.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 29. Happy art thou, happy art thou, O Israel.
So guess what? It's a happy thing. Guess what? Waking up, knowing that you're an Israelite, knowing that you God's chosen people, knowing that you're above all people. That is a great thing, and you should be happy about that. Give all praises to the Most High God. Read on.
Who is like unto thee?
What nation is like unto the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? We are the best at everything that we do. The best singers, the best cookers, the smartest, the strongest, the fastest. We excel above all races in every fashions of levels. Read on out.
O people saved by the Lord.
And we are the ones that was brought up out of the land of Egypt. And guess what? We're going to be brought up out of this captivity too. Even greater and far better than the captivity of Egypt. Read on out.
The shield of thy help.
And we are the shield of thy help. Read on.
And who is the sword of thy excellence?
Who is the what?
The sword of thy excellence.
Because like it says in Jeremiah, we are God's weapons of war. We are his battle axes. Read on out.
And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee.
Now this is the part that we won't. Read that again.
And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee.
Moses was warning us from the time of the beginning that guess what? We have enemies on this planet, Israel. And guess what? They will constantly feed us with lies. But the Bible is the ultimate discerner of those things to know if that's true or if it's false. Read that last part again.
And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee.
They are found liars to us because every day we learning something that we have been taught that's false doctrine. Now, like we understand Christianity, now we know Christianity is white supremacy. Christianity has nothing to do with the Bible, Israel. Nothing at all. Nowhere in the Bible does he tell us to be a Baptist, a Seventh-day Adventist, to be in Catholicism, to in Islam, in Egyptology. You won't find none of these things in the Bible. So guess what? That is a lie that we have been taught, and we turn it down. The Bible is turning it down. Go ahead up.
And thou shalt tread upon thy high place.
And it's gonna come a time when the Most High send Yahushua back. He gonna tread upon these high places. That's what that's going into. Give me 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 44. You know, we got to kill the lies, man. That's what this is all about, killing the lies and coming back to the truth.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 44. Intemperance is at the end.
Intemperance is at an end.
It's at an end. So like infidelity.
Hold up. Give me that definition on intemperance right quick. Like we said, we want to get a good understanding of these scriptures.
With all thy getting, get understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Intemperance, INTEMPERANCE. We'll find out, get a definition on it. Intemperance. Let's see if we can get
lack of moderation or restraint.
Lack of restraint. Read on up.
Excessive indulgence, especially in alcohol. That's it on that.
You got some synonyms for us?
That was
Intemperance is at an end.
No, that's good. That's all.
Read that definition on the top again. Then.
Okay. Excessive or immoderate indulgence. That's a different one. In alcohol. Excessive indulgence of appetite or passion. Lack of moderation.
That's what I want. Read that again.
Lack of moderation.
Lack of moderation. Most I said that should be at an end, Israel. You have to be moderate in these scriptures. Read on up.
Or due restraint as in action or speech.
So read that from the top again, 2nd Ezra chapter 7, verse 44.
Intemperance is at an end. Infidelity is cut off.
Infidelity is cut off. Read on.
Righteousness is grown.
Read that again.
Righteousness is grown.
Now, when we come into being Israelites, we know that righteousness is keeping the commandments also as well. Righteousness should be growing in each and every one of us, each and every day, Israel. That's what this truth is all about, growing in the truth. A lot of these classes reiterate the same things and come together as one. Matter of fact, give me Deuteronomy 6:25. Let's get that righteousness. Like we say, precept upon precept. Like we always tell brothers and sisters, write these precepts down. Because this is what the Bible defines these words as.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he had commanded us.
Like all the scriptures are redundant. Each word is falling back to the law, statutes, and commandments. You know, the Most High have to remind Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man, because we hard-headed.
That's right.
And a lot of times we have to constantly be reminded of things, man. because we be short-minded sometimes. So righteousness is the keeping of God's commandments. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 44.
And truth is sprung up.
And what?
And truth is sprung up.
No lies are.
And truth is sprung
So
up.
this day, truth is springing up out of the earth. That earth is going into the Bible because the Bible is breaking down all these false doctrines and lies that we have been taught.
That's right.
Now we getting a correct understanding of the scripture. So when that day come, when judgment day come, we don't have an excuse. Oh, Lord, I didn't know. Oh, I was serving you on this day. Well, the Bible tells us to serve him on that day. Saturday is the Lord's Sabbath day, not Sunday, people. The Bible explains all these things. A lot of times we got to humble our spirit and come back to what the Bible says, not thus said your pastor, your wicked pastor. That's the first and foremost. Give me Psalms 52. Go ahead.
Up on top.
Yeah, you saw it.
The book of Psalms, chapter 52 and verse 1. Why boast thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man, and goodness of God, the goodness of God endured continue. Thy tongue devised mischief.
Read that again.
Thy tongue devised mischief.
Thy tongue. This is really going into Esau. A lot of these scriptures and Psalms be cut scriptures for Esau. And this is what the prophet David is going into. Thy tongue deviseth mischief. So the Most High was letting us know that it will be a nation of people that will constantly be devising mischief against his people and against his word. Read on up.
Like a sharp razor working deceitfully.
Working what?
Deceitfully.
Because they come up with all types of lies. Everybody in the Bible is white. The Egyptians are white. God is white. The angels is white. All type of doctrines, false doctrines. That's nothing but lies and deceit. Read on up. Verse 3.
Verse 3. Thou lovest evil more than good.
And they love evil more than good. Read on.
And lying rather than speaking righteous.
Read that again.
And lying rather than speaking righteous.
Because when they cannot tell the truth, because a lot of times those truth break down who they really are, Israel. Read on up. Verse 4.
Verse 4. Thou lovest all devouring words.
They do what?
Thou lovest all devouring words.
They love devouring words. Read on up.
O thou deceitful tongue.
Oh, thou what?
O thou deceitful tongue.
Read on up.
God shall likewise destroy thee forever.
Read that again.
God shall likewise destroy thee forever.
And this is letting you know this is going into a glimpse of Esau. Because what nation of people is going to be destroyed forever? And it's also going into the 2/3 too. Read on now.
He shall take thee away and pluck them out of thy dwelling places and root them out of the land of the living.
Read on now.
The righteous also shall see.
The what?
The righteous also shall see.
Israel is the righteous if they keep God's commandments. Read on.
And fear.
And what?
And fear.
So when the Most High do that thing, guess what? We are going to know that he is the one in true power on the planet Earth and not to be played no games.
And that's right. The fear of his judgment, man. That's what he's going to bring on all these lying and deceitful people, man. And hold on, let me get a precept in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me get Psalms 19 and 9. I'm going to get some on that fear. 19 and 9.
I'll read.
All right.
The book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 9. The fear of the Lord is clean.
He said the fear of the Lord is clean. Read on.
Enduring forever.
That's what's going to endure forever. Read on.
The judgments of the Lord are true.
The judgment of the Lord is what?
Are true.
That's what he's going to bring on to the 2/3 of the other nations. Read on.
And righteous altogether.
And righteous all together. That's what he's going to bring on to the other nations and the wicked and ungodly. That's what he's going to bring down to them, man. You got to pick a side. Go ahead.
Let's go back to Psalms 52 and 6.
The book of Psalms, chapter 52 and verse 6. The righteous also shall see and fear.
And what?
And fear.
Read on.
And shall laugh at him.
And shall do what?
And shall laugh at him.
Because we're going to be welcome in the kingdom. That's the whole thing. We're going to be sitting back laughing because we're going to be saying these Negroes did not want to listen. We already know Esau judgment, but this is going into the 2/3. That's the topic that we on. We're going to be laughing at them because we done told them, we done warned them year after year, Sabbath after Sabbath. Keep God's commandments. Turn away from your sins. Repent. Come back to who you are as a nation of people. Leave off African American, black, Negroes, niggers. Leave these bywords and proverbs off. Come back to what the Most High wants you to go. You got some? Give me give me Psalm 62. Now we'll start. Give me 64. Psalm chapter 64 and verse. We start at 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer.
Like we always tell our people, pray as much as you can. You always want to constantly let the Most High hear your prayers. Like we say, pray righteous prayers. Pray for the benefit of your people. Don't pray selfish prayers. Read on.
Preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
And you constantly ask the Most High, preserve our life for fear of the enemy, because they are persecuting the Israelites. A lot of this stuff won't be broadcast on TV because they know they can't put a face to it, because they know more and more people will wake up to it. Read on out.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked.
Read that again out.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked.
So you also pray that the Most High hides us from the secret counsel of the wicked. Like what they doing in these city hall meetings, in these what you call it,
Union.
that union meetings, and it's another one. What is that word? I can't even think of the word. Read that again. What is that?
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
Because it's workers of iniquity that's out here on the planet Earth. Read on out.
That UN, man.
The UN, but it's another one I'm looking for. Read on.
Who wet their tongue like a sword.
Because you know they are the father of lies. They wet their tongue like a sword. And we know that the tongue, hey, who can tame the tongue?
Mm-hmm.
That thing have been known to break bones. Read on up. And destroy kingdoms. Read on.
And bend their bows to shoot their arrows. Even bitter words.
Even what?
Even bitter words.
Read on up.
That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
At the who?
At the perfect.
Guess what? Israel is the perfect. They shoot lies at us constantly. God loves everybody. You can be a spiritual Israelite. That's shooting their tongues at Israel at the perfect, because we are the perfect if we keep God's commandments, according to Psalms chapter 19, verse 7.
That's right.
That's what that's going into. Matter of fact, let's get that. Let's get that precept. Because that's another lie. That's what this class is all about, tearing down the lies that we have been taught. That's another lie we have been taught, that we cannot be perfect. We can be perfect according to the scriptures. See, a lot of times people got to lose off that worldly definition of what perfect is and come back to the Bible's definition of what perfect is. Read that out.
The book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect.
Read that again.
The law of the Lord is perfect.
The laws of God are perfect, Israel. Read on.
Converting the soul.
That is what makes you perfect. That is what changes your soul, Israel. Once you start to apply God's laws, to do them in your everyday life, that's what makes you perfect. Read on.
The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
And guess what? This keeping God's laws make you wise, Israel. That's what helps build your knowledge, build your wisdom. Let's go back up.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 4. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
At the perfect is Israel. Read on.
Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not.
And what?
And fear not.
Because guess what? It's no fear in the sight of these other nations, especially in the sight of Esau. That was his blessings. He is a man of war. God gave him the blessings of war. So they got all type of technologies of warfare. So, and plus they got the bomb. So you know they're not fearing nothing.
And then they ain't got no fear because they don't have the penitentiary. They can't repent. So at the end of the day, they trying to hold us back from repenting and keeping these law, statutes, and commandments.
And that's another good point.
You know what I'm saying? So
read that. I got my thought. Read that verse 4 again.
Verse 4. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
Guess what? That shooting in secret is going into think tanks, Israel. That's what I wanted, because guess what? They come together in secret council and think of ways to keep us constantly in sin, Israel. Why do you think it's always liquor stores only in our communities?
that's right.
Why is no productive black businesses in our community? Liquor stores, gas stations, things that keep us in sin, check cashing places,
That's right.
things that constantly keep us in sin because they know that most of our people get paid on Friday. So they'll put them up to get our people to sin, go and spend that money Friday, buying the things that they need.
And see, the thing is, you got to also think, Esau don't think about things like tomorrow and a week later. They think about years down the line. They allowed to think about, what is it? They said, well, this community that we live in, okay, we're going to let the blacks live here for 20 years. Well, guess what? When they get ready to come over here, you're going to see them start building houses over here. They're going to start putting businesses over there. Regentrification, man. That's right in your face, man. And guess what? They said, well, we're going to live here for 20 years, then we're going to let them move right back. You see what I'm saying? They play games like that.
And then up the prices. Prices on your rent. Redistricting, going into what you say? Gentrification. That's all that they secret plans that they devised against the children of Israel. Read on up.
Then in that council, we don't have nobody representing Israel either.
Exactly.
We have the white man representing us in the councils in the UN, so we don't know what's really going on.
Exactly. Go
verse 5.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter.
Read that again.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter.
They constantly encourage themselves in an evil matter because they reaping the benefits of the things that they devising against us. But the Most High is going to bring that to a stop. Guess what? He bringing some of that to a stop right now. Because this is also a blessing for us to come together on one accord on his high holy day according to the scriptures. Newsflash, the Sabbath is not Sunday. The Sabbath is the 7th day of the week, which is Saturday, people. We got to wake up and come back to these scriptures. Read on, huh?
They communed of laying snares privately.
Laying what?
Laying snares privately.
They lay snares privately. What is another snare? What happened to that, brother? The gun laws in Florida. Stand your ground. These are some of the things, some of the snares that they lay privately, so they can just get killed off of us. You know,
the drugs in the community.
Go ahead.
All those drugs come in there. Cocaine and crack that came in the United States were brought in by the FBI
and the CIA.
They turn around and send that guys in jail to this day. And they brought that in there as a snare. Then they lock us up for it. It's like going into the store. They sell you all the what you call it? What they call that? Paraphernalia.
Yeah.
You go and buy it at the store, drive off, the police pull you up, and you go to jail for the paraphernalia you just bought at the store. Why don't y'all go in the store and arrest the dude selling the paraphernalia?
And then what make it folks so funny about it, our people don't see this. Guess what? They lock you up for buying drugs, right? They may lock you up. They lock you up for buying. Let's say you bought your weed. Why they let them sell cigars in the store, man? Why they let them do it? They let them buy. They let you buy straight shooters. You can buy that stuff at the store, but guess what? That's how I say. They keep tabs on you. Okay, they buying cigars. They buying cigars. I'm finna follow them wherever they going, and these Negroes gonna buy. I'm just gonna stick them. I'm gonna lean. I'm gonna follow back. Guess what? Go ahead. We know where you're going. You just bought some cigars. Come on, ahead. Go where you going.
Pull out a precept too. Give me on Proverbs 1:11. Right. Because that's exactly what they do, man. They sit, wait. You don't really have to do nothing, and not in our neighborhood to get caught up with the laws. Read 1:11.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 11. If they say, "Come with us,"
because we got some of our people, we got some of these Negroes out here that work with these white folks. They trying to catch us and snare us too. Read on.
Let us lay wait for blood.
They lay wait, man. They don't sit in the white folks' neighborhood, posted up, hid behind churches, hid in alleys, waiting on people to drive by, waiting by people to walk by, go by. Keep reading.
Let us
lurk privately.
Let us lurk privately for innocent without cause.
And that's what they do, man. They sit in our neighborhoods without any cause. You can have any reason, a tail light out. You know what I'm saying? A light not on your license plate. It don't matter what you got. It could be the smallest thing that they're gonna sit in the neighborhood. They sit in our neighborhoods and wait on us to make small mistakes. And most of these people be innocent. You got people, man, can't find jobs in our neighborhood because they got misdemeanors over small things that they don't be pulled over. Pulled over for, you know what I'm saying? That in the white neighborhoods, they just don't get a warning. Oh, get your tail light fixed. You could go on home. You know your brake light broke, but they'll take us to jail for that. Oh, they'll get them probable cause to check your car, do anything for that, man. So we gotta pay attention to that.
But like what this class is going into, let's get the law that helps defeat that. Exactly. Because guess what? If you're not smoking weed or defiling your temple, That won't apply to you. You won't have to worry about getting pulled up, going to jail, going buying paraphernalia. Give me 1 Corinthians 3:16. Like we say, God's laws is made to help better our lives. Read that out.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3 and verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?
So your body is the temple of God. Read on out.
And that the Spirit of God dwells in you.
And the Spirit of God dwells in you if your temple is clean, Israel. Not eating pork, not smoking cigarettes, not smoking weed, not doing cocaine or crack or none of these drugs. Read on out.
If any man defile the temple of God,
By doing those things, doing drugs. Read on out.
him shall God destroy.
Him shall what?
Him shall God destroy.
Read on out.
For the temple of God is holy.
Your body is separate. We have the best bodies on the planet Earth. Why would you want to destroy your body by doing that? Read on now.
Which temple ye are.
Which temple ye are. So that law right there will stop 50% of the things going on in our neighborhood.
That's right.
Especially with smoking weed, man. You won't have to be worried about the laws riding up behind you smelling something. How can they smell something if it's not even in the car? If
That's
you're not
right.
even participating in it. Let's go back.
They say, who shall see them?
Who shall what?
Who shall see them?
And that's what Esau constantly says in those think tanks. Who gonna see that we doing this? Who gonna see that we oppressing these people? Because a lot of times they think that racism is over with. No, they just done hid it under the disguise.
That's right.
It's still out there, prevalent. Because a lot of times we have the same, I guess, credentials, but we still can't get loans. We still can't live where we want to live. Go and try to move into Highland Park. See that they don't have certain laws that prohibit certain people from living in their neighborhood. Read on now.
But you could get loans that put you in debt, because that's the type of slavery we got going on right now. It's debt slavery. But you can't get no business loan. They're not going to give you no type of loan that's going to empower yourself.
Exactly. Read verse 6, huh?
Verse 6. They search out iniquity.
They search out sin that they know our people dwell in. Drinking heavy. That's why we tell brothers and sisters, there's nothing wrong with drinking, but don't drink to get drunk. That is a snare. Because guess what? When you are breaking God's commandments, matter of fact, give me Psalm 17 and 13. When we break God's commandments, that is what they're here for. They're a God's sword on this planet Earth. Like I say, he uses people, he uses animals, he uses the planet as weapons, man. People need to wake up and understand this. You got that up?
The book of Psalms, chapter 17 and verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him.
King David said, disappoint the other nations. Read on now.
Cast him down.
Do what?
Cast him down.
I'm casting him down by the understanding of the scriptures. Read on now.
Deliver my soul from the weak, which is thy sword.
Which is what?
Which is thy sword.
So the wicked on the planet Earth is God's sword, Israel. And we know that the main wicked is the Edomites that the Bible speaks of. That is God's sword. So when we breaking God's laws, he uses them to punish us, Israel. Let's go back.
Verse 6. They search out iniquity. They accomplish diligent search.
They do what?
They accomplish diligent search.
Just like, why you think they always the main race doing archaeology? They trying to hide the fact that the real Jews are black, Israel.
That's right.
The so-called Edomites, they do a diligent search. You don't think they ain't dug up a lot of them bones? And the deeper they dig, what? The blacker it gets.
That's right.
Every time they digging up something, it confirms what the Bible is teaching us.
That's
That
right.
the real Jews are black. Christ is black. God is black. The angels are black. So they gonna do a diligent search. You don't think our people like to be in archaeology? I love that type of stuff, history and stuff. We got a lot of people that love history, but they hide that from us, and they do a diligent search on top of that.
They have right now, when y'all the so-called fake Jews over in Israel right now, they are blackmailing the United States because of who they stole it. They know who we are.
Exactly.
And they using the blackmail. That's why when you go and you look at your products and it has that little T on the bottom, you're paying taxes to Israel. Israel gets almost $1 trillion or over a lot of billions of dollars from us every year. Out
Like
of what
60
we buy
billion.
every year. That's how they build their military over there in the Middle East, because they are hijacking. I mean, they blackmail the United States, because not only are they, and then they allow the United States or the UN who put them in that land. So they come hijack the whole European continents as far as what's going on, because they know you are the gold that they stole. You are the children of the Most High, and to keep that secret from the rest of the world, so they won't tell everybody. We got those taxes you paying to them. It's a whole system that they got going on.
That's right.
It's a whole trap game. Like they think of the dope house as a trap. No, this government is the trap.
Exactly.
They running the real trap.
That's right.
Give me read verse 6 again.
Verse 6, they search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thoughts of every one of them,
No, some of them.
Read, and their heart is deep.
The Most High is letting us know, guess what? The thought of every one of them is deep. See, Bobby, he thinking deep. Little Becky, she thinking deep. A lot of times our people be fooled by this at the job because they speak to you and be all kind. But meanwhile, like we have been said before, Becky probably got a raise, but she probably got $1 raise. And what Shaniqua, she probably just got a quarter raise. So don't think that they not being crafty when it even comes to the friendship. Because a lot of people, that's what we get when we out there on the streets a lot of times. Well, they did this for me. But guess what? They not telling you they got something in return too. So
That's right.
That's right.
And see,
That's right.
It's like when they got what they call it, when you get your income tax in the black community. When we get $5,000 to $7,000, we think we won the lottery. You can't tell us nothing. We don't buy another car, but we bought one last year, buying another one this year. But they getting out of their income tax, and I'm telling y'all might not believe it. They bringing out. I'm telling you, they getting $20,000 in their bank account,
Yes.
$15,000 to $30,000 in their bank account, and they working the same job as you, making the same pay. But then at the end of the year, they getting all this. They not gonna tell you. Why would you tell someone? Why would I give up a secret? I'm getting money to tell this black person, we get niggas. They not giving up.
And check this out though. Let you get $10,000. The IRS coming to see you.
Exactly.
They coming to see
And
you.
they finna ask you every question in the book. Why? How did they even calculate to that? But I can promise you this, and you're supposed to report at a certain amount. They don't have to. I actually seen this with my own eyes with another guy I'm working with. Then I'm asking him, well, who did your tax? You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I accidentally seen him. He got mad because I saw it.
Yeah.
Then who did? I paid him whatever. Guy would not refuse to tell me any of this kind of information. Right. And this guy I grew up with, and I'm like, hold on, this is somebody wearing you right here with me, but you're doing something, you ain't. Man.
And see, the thing is, look, Jonathan, guess what? That's what the Bible say. Like, say if you got little Jonathan, he hang with you, y'all gave him a little name, White Ghost, you know what I mean?
White
chocolate. And he chilling, white chocolate, and he chilling with you. Guess what? His thoughts is deep, man. He laying snares too. Don't think that he just sitting around. Even when y'all so-called our women is intermingled with the other nation, or our men is intermingling with the other nation. Guess what, man? They said they thoughts is deep, man. Guess what? They trying to think of a way to keep you down.
And like it's a gang out in California, in LA, in San Diego area. They let this white guy in the gang. Come from what is that? One of the rich areas it's a rich area out there. He came from there, and he's been hanging with this gang all of a sudden. And then they decide to go and shoot this other guy. He's the getaway driver. And you know how we do it in the black community. The getaway driver get the same amount of time as the guy who shot us. That's been normal. You know that. But here this guy's the getaway driver. One of them who orchestrated on how to do the murder. When they murdered him, the two black dudes who was with him, they both locked up. The white dude is off and now doing some little campaigning with the police officer. Doing these, he's back supposed to be this recovered. Oh, I love the police now. But he was just in the game, but gets no time. No doubt, no time in jail. Both of the other dudes gone. Young ones gone. 17. And he was the oldest one. The other two was youngsters. He was the adult. He gets no time. Two youngsters gone to prison. You'll never see them again. It's crazy, man. This is this country. These are lies. These are the snares that he's talking about.
Exactly. Read verse 7 up.
Verse 7. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow.
Guess what? The arrows is the Bible. Because we breaking down all of these lies, man. The Bible is talking about the Bible. And guess what? It's talking about literal arrows too, those ICBMs. He gonna also shoot those physically at them. Read on up.
Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Suddenly shall they what?
Suddenly shall they be
Because
wounded.
when you go to Revelation, it said that destruction gonna come to this place in 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
We already know that Russia has a new nuclear weapon that can destroy the state the size of Texas in 1 hour. 30 minutes to get over here and 30 minutes to destroy. So Negroes thinking they finna run from this? No, it's not happening, man.
And then they're gonna be wounded because as we start waking up in this truth, their economy starts to crumble, man. We ain't celebrating Christmas no more. We ain't celebrating Easter no more. We ain't doing none of them pagan holidays. They are not making no money off us when we waking up to this truth.
Mm-hmm.
So they starting to crumble. That's one of the ways of wounding this economy. It's coming back to these laws and get away from the wicked holiday.
When he was saying that what they have, the bombs and stuff that they got Russia got the bomb, Satan 1 and Satan 2. They got another bomb. If you go into Revelation, see the most I know exactly, one of the bombs is called wormwood. And if you go into Revelation, when it's talking about the end time, this is what it's going to be called, wormwood.
That's right.
These are not just names. So y'all got to pay attention to things around you. Every little detail means something. Sometimes you can bypass it, but when you see a worldwide nation things going on, look at the details of what's really going on. Read between the lines.
That's right.
Don't just get what they tell you. Read between the lines, then line it up with this Bible, and you'll see the picture. You'll see what's going on. When he's talking about wormwood, that's the same wormwood he's talking about in the end days that's going to be devouring these countries.
I mean, I got a precept of what you're saying. Give me Proverbs 25 and 2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 25 and verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
It is the glory of God to conceal a thing.
He said it's a glory of God to conceal the thing. That's just like the mysteries in his Bible. See, the thing is, the more you follow his laws, the more that you read his word, guess what? He'll start opening these things up so you can see. That's why we can bring things out and to point out certain things that we see, because guess what? We get into his word and we know the things that he concealed. Read on.
But the honor of kings.
But the honor of what?
But the honor of kings
Read it.
is to search out a matter.
Because that's what we do now in Israel. We search that matter out, man. That's what we do. That's why we can go into the Bible and break down things that you see in the news. Break down things that you see that's around you. Break down things that's going to be happening in the future and the things that happened in the past. Because we search out those things, man.
That's right.
But if you're not following his law, guess what? That's what makes it concealed to the ones that don't know about it.
Because we also got to understand the Bible is a mystery book. So just like Ox said, the key to unlocking the mysteries is keeping his commandments.
That's right.
That's what Christianity has not understand yet.
Read 3, y'all. Read 3.
Verse 3.
Read verse 3.
Verse 3, the heaven for height and the earth for depth and the heart of kings,
The mind of kings.
is unsearchable.
So it's never too much searching we can do in this Bible. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be searching until the end of times to be finding and unlocking mysteries in this Bible, man. So, it's unsearchable, man. It's never too much searching we can do through these scriptures, man, to find out and get to understanding, man, of what's going on in this world around us.
Give me verse 8. Psalms chapter 64, verse 8.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
Read that again.
So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves.
Now the Most High is making their tongue fall on their own lies. Now a lot of times Esau know who we are, but he using the lower levels, because we got to understand the lower level Edomites don't know what the elites know. So they have been kept in the dark too. But now the lower level Edomites is bringing this truth out almost like Judah. Because a lot of times the Most High uses them because he know a lot of times our people don't like to listen to a person that look like them.
That's right.
But they'll listen to Esau. Because we got it on one of the videos. We never seen anything like this. It's crazy, man. But
I ain't told what was going on.
I go into a little bit. This brother we was out here teaching out there on the streets. We was telling this brother that the Bible says that Christ and God are so-called black men. He didn't want to believe it. So he had a crowd of Edomites behind him. And that also that the Sabbath was Saturday and not Sunday. So I asked the question, what day is the Sabbath day? He said Sunday. But then the Edomites behind him said Saturday. And he was like, oh, yeah, it is Saturday. We looking at this brother like, brother, we just told you that.
But he didn't want to believe it,
But
reading it out the Bible.
Exactly. He didn't want to believe his brothers that's reading out the Bible, but he'll believe it from his enemies.
Right.
You know, that's
And he was doing it all the way
He
on
was.
everything that was going on.
Yeah.
He'll read it out the Bible. The guy be like, nuh-uh. But the white guy say the same thing and agree with him. And he go, okay, yeah, all right.
I believe it then. It just
like, boy, that was
it's crazy, man. We got to come up out of that, man. And we understand that comes from years of oppression, because a lot of times people gravitate to the race that's winning. We know that the so-called white man is ruling today on the planet. So people no one wants to play for the losing team, people. So they gonna gravitate to that. That's why we tell our sisters not to blonde their hair, because that's envying their oppressors. Our sisters have the best hair on the planet Earth. You know, the most beautiful creatures on the planet Earth. God made you in his image. You know, they are the walking curse according to the Bible. Read verse 8 again.
So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away.
Shall do what?
Shall flee away.
Now you got many of people in Christianity coming out of that garbage now.
That's right.
Because they understand that, guess what? Tithes was never money. It was always your food and your crop.
That's right.
They see pastor driving to work, like it just had a Facebook post of Joel Osteen coming to church in a $500,000 Ferrari GTX or whatever it was, go-kart that's gonna burn. Now his people can't even make it to that church, but then he coming up in here like that. We ain't even on them. We basically gonna get on our people, even with what's his name? TD Snakes. How many of his people catching a bus to go to their church?
The bus stop right by the church.
How many of that? The money that they
church.
make is supposed to help benefit that nation, Israel. Matter of fact, let's go get that, because that's what this class is all about. Give me Acts 7 and
all these small business loans that these people get, man, they coming from the money that y'all put in these churches, man. And they opening up these small businesses for these other people from these other countries and pushing you right out your neighborhood, man.
Give me Acts chapter 4, verse 34. Because that's what the alms is for. The alms is to help better your nation, Israel.
Right.
You do not rise above your nation. What good is it if I'm living good, but the rest of my people is not living good? We cannot come together and build nothing. Read that out.
The book of Acts, chapter 4 and verse 34. Neither was there any among them that lacked.
So when you got brothers on one accord in leadership and sisters and the children, it shouldn't be no reason why any of us should lack. Because when they put arms together, they gave to who had need. Read on now.
For as many as were possessors of lands or houses, sold them.
Did what?
Sold
And
them.
a lot of times our people sold their land to help benefit the nation. Read on now.
And brought the price of things that were sold.
Read on now.
And laid them down at the apostles' feet. And distribution was made unto every man according as he had need.
No, I'm put the arms in my pocket.
According as he had need.
So arms is for your people of the congregation on whoever has need, Israel.
Right.
Building what? Just imagine what we could get for tithing money on a Sunday day. We could have our own schools. We could have our own hospitals, Israel. We can have our own land growing food and crops. We can have our own colleges. That's what that's supposed to be for. That's what we turn down the lives. That's a lot. Tithing was in the Old Testament. Tithing was never money. It was always your food and your crops. They say they don't keep God's laws, so why they still keeping the law of tithe? And I know for a fact, half of them ain't no Levites.
No.
So that's another lie that we'll turn down today. Give me matter of fact, we're gonna go to this definition of religion, because this is another lie that we got to turn down. Religion. The word religion comes from the Latin word religio, which means to constrain or to bind. You know, that's a word that came from The Edomites. When you pushing religion on people, you are binding them under your control.
That's right.
That is one thing that plagues our community too. And guess what is another thing? Politics, Israel. That is another thing that plagues our community, because they think the Democrats is for us. Guess what? It's two sides of the same coin, Israel. Either way it go, guess what? During the Clinton administration, the ghetto still looked the same. Guess what? During the Bush administration, it looked the same. During the Obama, it looked the same. And guess what? During Trump, it's still looking the same damn way.
That's right.
We got to understand, we got to come up out of that madness. These things do not benefit us. The only thing that benefits us is keeping God's commandments. That is the only thing that's going to have us to prosper. Let me get that definition on politics. Politics, the activities associated with the governance of a country or other area, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. Let me tell you, Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we ain't got no damn power in this country. So that do not pertain to us. Our power lies with keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. That's what our power is. We got to understand that. But let's get back to religion. Religion is the main thing that is destroying our community. We're going to get this first Edomite. And we got Baptist. Baptist is a religion that was created by this Edomite man, the so-called Caucasian man named John Smith in 1612. So this was what, 6 years before we was going into captivity, before they came and got us from the west coast of Africa. We got to understand, they brought us over here as slavery. They was never meant for us to be equal with them. And guess what? The Bible adheres to that.
That's right.
Matter of fact, let's get that. Give me Deuteronomy 32 and 8. Because a lot of people, that's what this religion teaches us, that all races are equal. Meanwhile, in words, they will say that, but in deeds, guess what? They got your black behind at the bottom. So we have to believe the deeds. We have to see the deeds that they do.
Right.
Got that up.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided the nation.
No, when he had everybody singing Kumbaya together.
When the Most High divided to the nations.
The Most High divided the nations, Israel. That's why China has their place of land of inheritance. The Edomites, they just every damn where. The Ishmaelites have their place in India. Everybody had their inheritance of land. Read on now.
To the nations, their inheritance. When he separated,
joined together.
When he separated,
if people didn't know, God separated the nations, Israel. God was all about separation, man, because he didn't want his holy seed mingling or watering down his chosen people and pushing their philosophies, their religions, their doctrines on us to turn us away from him. Read on now.
When he separated the sons of Adam, he set bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Now that's going into the Most High gave us our portion, which is the best portion on the planet, the land of Jerusalem, Israel, and then gave all the other nations their portion. We got the best slice of the pie, though.
That's right.
The biggest slice, flowing of milk and honey. So God have always separated the nations, Israel. Religion try to join us back together.
That's right.
But it keeps us at the bottom. That is the main thing. Let's go into this other one. Pentecost. Now, I don't know where they got this religion from. Pentecost is a high holy day, Israel. How the hell can this man make a religion out of one of God's high holy days? This man's name was Charles Fox Parham. He created the religion Pentecost in the 1900s. So a lot of times that's what these Edomites and the other nations too, because we getting on them too. They create or plagiarize the Bible, then make a doctrine and a religion around certain parts. But us as a nation of people, we got to take on the whole Bible, Israel. The whole Bible. Jehovah Witness. Now, this was created by Charles T. Russell in 1870. We know a lot of our people dwell in that. They do some things, but guess what? It's not according to knowledge. They may celebrate the Sabbath, but that's about it. All I know.
And also, man, while we bringing this information out, also, man, y'all make sure y'all be writing this information down. So, hey, come check out the information that we put out, man. You know, see if it's correct. Everybody, you know, you don't want to just sit up in here and just sit in here and just get, oh, okay, that was a good class. No, search. You can't just sit up in here and not write this stuff down, man. Search this stuff out. See if what we bringing is the right information, man. Because one thing about it, you know, you got to work out your own self-salvation, man. You do. So, hey, he brothers bringing out some good, heavy information, man. Y'all need to be writing this thing down. Go ahead.
Like we say, do a diligent search, Israel. That's one thing we got to get back as a nation of people. We have to learn to start reading again, Israel. Reading is fundamental to your brain, Israel. That's what exercises your brain, Israel. Read and read and read. And like we always bring out, the scriptures, when you read the Bible, this is like looking at your photo album. This is your history book. This is the one book that we can call our own and ours only, Israel. So it's very important to get in here to read about your forefathers, your foremothers, seeing what they did and how they handled certain situations back in the times. Now we got this other wicked boy, Mormon. Now we know Negroes, none of our people ain't got no damn business up in this religion. Because written in the Book of Mormon, it tells us that black was a curse. This was created by Edomite also named Joseph Smith in the 1820s. Like I was saying before, this tells us that being black is a curse according to their scriptures, but the Bible says the opposite. So we have to understand why they made these types of religions, because they know that this Bible condemns them.
Right. And the thing about it, what they done, they stole, all of them stole our book and then began to argue over what parts they was going to use of our book.
Yeah.
And what parts and how we're going to make this good for us. So that's when you had the separation of the Catholicism and the old, what's the ones that, the Quakers, which were the Protestants at the time when they had their first wars going on about what and how they were going to do. But all of them argued over religion and over a truth that's ours and a religion that they started taking off from our truth. And now they arguing over what parts they're going to be used of our truth to make themselves better across the world. You understand what I'm saying? This is what they're doing. And if you sit back, you have to be some of the Jews and going, well, these white folks is tripping. And not only just that, this was happening not just with Edomites, but it goes in the Buddhists, it goes in the Hindu, it goes in the Egyptologist community. Yeah. All of them got from this. But then they'll tell you everything come from the Egyptians. If the Egyptian was so great of a scientist, and so they should be still on the tops of the world. Just because a couple of leaders or the army got drowned, but shouldn't they still be mad scientists? Were they sitting back waiting for the United States to develop some stuff, this new technology? It all came from us. That's right. That's why no matter what country we are in captivity, that country is always the top country of the world. When we was in Egypt, Egypt was number one in the world. When we was in Babylon, Babylon was number one in the world. Because the blessings always followed us, although the curses did too. That's right.
And that's very heavy because, like we say, these religions destroy our people, man. Guess what? The so-called other nations, they use this to divide and conquer us too. That's the main objective in that. And we're going to touch on that in some of these books. But the next one is going into, guess what? Islam. So a lot of our people dwell in that stuff too. Matter of fact, give me that in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. The Most High was warning us about this early. He have always used Moses, the prophets, to kind of warn us about dabbing into these different religions. Read that out.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter them. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So Israel was scattered amongst all people by way of slavery, by way of slave ships. That's how we got into each and every country. Each time we broke God's commandments, he scattered us among the nations. Read on up.
From one end of the earth.
From North America, read on.
Even unto the other.
To the Middle East and everywhere. Read on.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
Paul let us know we was gonna serve other gods, Israel. Let's see what these guys were. Read on up.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Because you think Moses knew about serving Islam, the cobblestone? You think Moses knew about serving the cross? Do you think Paul and them in the New Testament was worshiping the cross, man, or the Virgin Mary? You know, he was not doing these things. Read on up. Which neither,
Even wood and stone.
even what?
Wood and stone.
The wood is going into, guess what? That cross. But it's also, and that stone is going into the cobblestone, but guess what? That also goes into that Virgin Mary. But a lot of our people, our Northern Kingdom brothers, and they just, boy, they deep in that Catholicism, man. You know, we got to come up out of there. You got some up?
And Pan-Africanism also.
Yeah, that too.
Exactly. I want to read something out of here right quick. This is
Which one you got?
I'm gonna read. What are you on?
I'm on 47. What you got?
Okay, I was gonna start at 49, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, we'll go through that. You know, I got all that. Read verse 40. I mean, page 47. This is the from Babylon to Timbuktu. A lot of people, especially in Israel, y'all need to get this book. You know, it got some good history in there. He go off on some things, not very many, but a lot of it is very good because you know they say that Japhet is a so-called white man. The Bible doesn't define Japhet as a white man. Japhet looked like his brothers, Shem, Ham, and Noah. They was all men of color. The only new references of so-called white men being on the planet is Genesis 25 and 25. You know, so they got that wrong in there, but pretty much everything else is pretty much on point. You got that out?
Where you
From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 47.
Yeah, where you want to start?
Start at the top.
Okay. Page 47. The original Black Jews. And incidentally, by this time, Hebrew Old Testament had been translated into Arabic.
So the Hebrew, they got our scrolls and translated into Arabic. Read on.
And the Arabs were rapturely pleased to read about their great ancestor in the story of Hebrew patriarchs. This fact alone helped Muhammad to inspire in the Arabs in the feelings and nationalism
of what?
And nationalism.
Read on.
You should say the feelings also. The feeling of nationalism,
yeah,
and racial pride, because they had read in the Hebrew scriptures that Ishmael was to become a great nation.
Was to become a what?
A great nation.
So that's where they took this Islam and made a sense of nationalism and pride, because the Most High was gonna make them a great nation. But they got to leave, they got to understand, he wasn't going to make them the chosen nation.
That's right.
That is the thing that people don't understand. It's the difference between making a great nation and making the chosen nation. Those are two different things. So Muhammad read in the scriptures that the Most High was going to make them a chosen nation. So they built a religion around it.
And mind you, they didn't keep up with records like the Israelites did.
Exactly.
We kept up with our records. They were losing their history. They didn't have no history written down. They didn't have written records like they did. But so when he started reading out of the Bible at this time, when he reading the Bible, he said he sees his okay, there are people right there. So from that point on is when he was like, wait a minute. That's the only way he started getting any information on what their past was from the Bible. Because they didn't keep history books like we do. And when he seen that, okay, wait a minute, I'm not them, but I got something to do with them. And he started his religion from that point on.
Go to page 48. Go to Islam and Judaism. That second paragraph.
Page 48, the Prophet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Islam and Judaism. The Prophet Muhammad adopted many principles and laws from the Jewish religion.
Read that again.
The Prophet Muhammad adopted many principles and laws from the Jewish religion.
He adopted all of them. They stole our history book. They plagiarized our books and made a religion out of it. Just like these other 4 Edomites. They make these religions from our scriptures. They take out the parts that they want and leave off the other parts. Muhammad did the same thing. Read on up.
First of all, the basic idea of monotheism, which is the belief in one God.
Which is the what?
The belief in one God.
Because they was worshiping idols every day of the year, 365. Read on up, or 360.
The Jewish confession of the unity of God is Shama Israel, Adonai, Elohanu, Adonai, Ehad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
And that precept is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. And also another precept is Luke. Matter of fact, we get that. Give me Deuteronomy. And we'll see that got that out of our scriptures. Deuteronomy 6 and 4.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord, our God is one.
The Lord what?
Our God is one Lord.
Is one Lord. That's what monotheism comes from, because they knew we only worship one God. Let's go to Luke. Precept to that is in Luke chapter 12, verse 29, saying the same thing. Like we said, the old, the new is just quoting the old.
The book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 29. And seek not ye what ye shall eat.
No, I mean Mark chapter 12, verse 29. My bad. It's a lot. That's on me.
The book of Mark, chapter 12 and verse 29.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our Lord. Our God is one Lord.
Is what?
Is one Lord.
So it's saying the same thing. That's where Paul was getting, Mark was getting this from the Old Testament. Saying the same thing. We worship one God. Now let's go back to this Babylon and Timbuktu.
And that was back in history. That was the strangest thing to all nations. That's what made us look strange. They only worship one God. One. And when everybody else had many, that's what made us set apart. That was a set apart from everybody else at the time.
That's exactly right. Let's go back to that from Babylon to Timbuktu. Go ahead.
Okay, Muhammad adopted also the main details of the Jewish calendar, the Day of Atonement, the Sabbath, much of the Bible and narratives from the Midrash, and many points of the ritual law. Incidentally, the Jews pray 3 times a day facing the city of Jerusalem, and the Muslims, true believers, pray 5 times a day facing the city of Mecca.
Let's jump over to the 2 daughters of Judaism, the second paragraph.
The 2 daughters of Judaism. The offspring of Judaism.
No, the second paragraph.
Okay, second paragraph. Muhammad tried to construct his religion as close as he could after the Jewish religion.
After the what?
Jewish religion.
So Islam is just a plagiarization of the Bible, Israel. So for a lot of our brothers that's dwelling in that, guess what? They forced that on us in the sub-Saharan slave trade, Israel. It's the same thing on how the so-called white man did us in Christianity, but these was the Arabs that did this to us. They had us in slavery far longer and far worse than the so-called white man. So how y'all gonna be worshiping a religion of the so-called Arabs? That makes no sense. Because last time I checked, Negroes ain't been in no Saudi Arabia. Negroes ain't been in no Yemen or the sub-Saharan slave trade, man. That was forced on us. Go ahead,
And another thing, if you notice the pride in Muhammad, we pray 3 times a day, given to us by our Most High God. Hey, we're gonna do 5 times. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm gonna do him. And I just saw that. But where we at?
You can start from the top again.
Okay, Muhammad tried to construct his religion as closely as he could to the Jewish religion. He favored the Jews by accepting many of their laws and traditions. When the Jews refused to be converted
in the sub-Saharan slave trade, read on.
He commanded his followers to stop turning to the holy city of Jerusalem in prayer, but rather turn to the city of Mecca.
So he's telling them, don't go to Jerusalem, come to Mecca. Come with me. Read on.
He changed the Jewish Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, or fast day, which he had made and had accepted for the month of Ramadan. Muhammad changed the Jewish Sabbath from Saturday to Friday. The Jewish Sabbath from Saturday to Friday.
So they was changing our laws. Read on up.
We have another parallel with Christianity.
They have a what?
Another parallel with Christianity.
Because guess what? Christianity did the same thing too. Let's see what day did they change.
In the 4th century, the church changed the Sabbath to Sunday and reorganized its calendar to make Easter separate of Passover.
Read that from the top again. In the 4th century.
In the 4th century, the
In
church
the 4th century is, guess what? 300 to 400 AD. That's during the time of Constantine.
During Nicene Council.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to iterate, because something I wanted to just clear up. This is during the 4th century. So that means at this time in the 4th century, we were not using a lunar calendar. We were using the Saturday. It was off of the Sabbath, which was the 7th day had already been stamped. I just wanted to make that clear because I had we've been dealing with something like that.
Yeah,
I was kind of dealing with someone that just showed me a little something too, because we were on the Saturday as the Sabbath, because otherwise they didn't change y'all get off the lunar calendar. They was changing our Saturday Sabbath. The Christianity did it, and the Islam did it. Islam say that's Friday. Then here they come, the Christianity. We make it Sunday, but which means we was keeping the Sabbath on the Sabbath.
On a Saturday, and that's a good point. I'll read that again. In the 4th century.
In the 4th century, the church changed the Sabbath to Sunday.
Changed the what?
Sabbath to Sunday.
No, the Sabbath is Saturday.
Sabbath to Sunday.
So all these Christian people out here, Christianity people, because we don't say Christians, because Christians follow Christ. Christ kept the law. So we are the true Christians up here because we keep God's commandments. They changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, people. That is the worship of the sun. Read on up.
And recognize its calendar make Easter separate over Passover.
And that's where you get Easter from. They tried to make Easter out of the Passover. But we understand through the scriptures, guess what? It's Passover and not Easter, Israel. Read on up.
Like Christianity, also Muhammad included in his Bible, the Quran, accusation concerning the Jews. Nevertheless, the Quran glorifies biblical personality.
Read that again.
Nevertheless, the Quran glorifies many biblical personalities.
Guess what? The Quran glorifies us, man. Now, if this book is about you, because our Bible don't glorify the Ishmaelites, our Bible don't glorify the Edomites. It condemns these other nations. It lets us know that we the chosen people. But even in their Quran, it lets us know that, guess what? Even the Quran knows that the children of Israel is God's chosen people. Right? So we got to come up out of these lies and madness that we have been taught. Like I was saying, going into Pan-Africanism. Because I understand they get a lot of this stuff from watching those. What was those documentaries that Dr. Umar and them was doing? What was that called? Damn, what is that called? I can't even remember. Where they lump all black people as to being one.
Yeah, they do that on every occasion now. That's where they get Africanism.
Exactly.
We all come from Africa. We all the same people.
All the same. Everybody that has brown pigmentation is everybody's black. That's not what the Bible tells us. We have different mannerisms. Guess what? Just because there's some East Indians over there that's darker than me, but they know that they're not a Negro. You know, all people with brown pigmentation are not the same nation of people, Israel. They bring out some good history on that, but they make a mistake by lumping all people with melanin as being one. That's the false doctrine that Pan-Africanism and Egyptology brings forth. Give me
And come to think about it, when Christianity was it's 325 AD, when the Roman Catholicism had begun at this time. This is when Constantine instituted what was a Jewish religion with pagan gods, and that's what you have today, which we call Christianity. But that's how the religion started. He's supposed to have had a dream with 3 crosses. First of all, if you was in the Jewish religion, 3 crosses would have never been no idea to us. That wouldn't nothing have nothing to do with Yahweh Shah. So that's letting you know that's why they also worship the cross. And if you notice, if you go to all the Romans, when they the Knights of Templar, where they have the cross, it's God's will. That's what they would always say while they're out there murdering and taking everybody's land. Exactly. But this is just the history of those things and of how they came about. But everything, a lot of times they would always, when you see a monotheistic God, It comes from us. Now, don't go following it because they went totally away from it. It's just something that they use. They use our background. But when you're watching documentaries, it'll always make it seem as though that we all copied everything else. When the original thing was, we the only one kept great records, and our books was always accurate. So everybody was taken from us. So don't believe the lies that they're trying to tell you. Because like you said, we're breaking down these lies as of today.
Exactly. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. Because this precept lets us know what these religions do to our mind, to our subconscious. You got that out?
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh
Expressly
that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith.
So we have some brothers in this truth and sisters in this truth that, guess what, gonna depart from the faith. We see it out there when we out there. Brother had been in the truth. He came out there, brother was reprobate. So you're gonna have those type of spirits. That's why we constantly try to reinforce the point to keep growing in the truth. You know, don't get full off of this truth. You know, always keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. This Bible is full of history, parables, and mysteries that we are trying to unlock. Don't never get fed up with the Bible. Read on now.
Giving heed to seducing spirits.
Read that again now.
Giving heed to seducing
A
spirits.
lot of times our people give heed to seducing spirits. Christianity is a seducing spirit. Islam is a seducing spirit. You know, these things has nothing to do with us being great as a nation of people. These things has nothing to do. Like we say, Christianity is white supremacy. It has nothing to do with us. Like we say, you worship in the same religion as the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
You worship in the same religion as them Ishmaelites that's Allah Akbar over there. That makes no sense. We don't have those type of mannerisms. You know, we're laid back people, smooth going, you know, get along with everybody. So those are not our religions. Read on now.
Seducing spirits and doctrine of devil.
And what?
And doctrines of devil.
Those doctrines, these other religions, those are doctrines of devil because they turn us away from keeping the Most High God laws. Christianity tells us that God's laws is done away with. But you can read from Genesis to Revelation and you won't never find this scripture. Christianity tells us, come as you are. Like we say, I'm still looking for that damn scripture, man. We cannot find it. Christianity tells us to go to church on Sunday. Tells us to celebrate Christmas, Halloween. We aren't supposed to do none of those types of things. The Bible is basic. Our people got to come back to the basics. Our people always want to be deep. One up in another brother, one up in the camp. Just keep God's commandments, man. Read on now.
Speaking lies.
Speaking what?
Speaking lies in hypocrisy.
Speaking lies and hypocrisy. Like we just named a lot of lies that Christianity speaks, that Islam speaks, that Buddhism speaks. They speaking lies and hypocrisy because in Christianity, they tell you that they love God, but then to go slaughter all the Native American Indians to get this land. You know, that's speaking lies and hypocrisy. Read on now.
Having their own conscience seared.
Read that again now.
Having their conscience seared with a hot iron.
So these religions sear our people's minds like in hot iron. Just like when you was growing up, you just started ironing. You stained that collar shirt. Could you ever get that iron stain out that shirt? No, you cannot. So you basically have to throw that away. So that's what these religions do to our people conscious.
Let me get a precept.
Go ahead,
Let me get Romans 16 and 17.
That's exactly what these things do. They stitch in our brains. That white image of Cesare Borgia is stitched in our people's brains. And they can't get it out.
What you 16 and 17?
Yeah, read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 16, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them, which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
And avoid them, because a lot of these people that come bringing this other different doctrine that we ain't learning, man. Look, avoid those people, man.
Yeah.
Those people are not. We unequally yoked with those people, man. They not saying what the Lord say to do. They not teaching the law. They not teaching how to make it to the kingdom. He said, "I beseech you, brother, and mark them." He said, "Hey, look at them. Call them out. Hey, them the ones that do that." Which caused division, because religion caused division.
Exactly.
That's what it's out here for. And offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, because we learn the Bible, man. We learn in the Bible as it's written. When like Psalms 47, he said, "Lo, I come in the volume of the book." How you gonna learn half of Christ? Come on, man. You got to learn the whole thing, man.
Exactly.
That's why the Million Man March didn't work.
That's right. Ain't no march gonna work unless they're gonna do it with the Lord, how the Lord say to do it.
Matter of fact, because I like that point. That's what religions do, man. They cause division, and that's what a lot of times we have these types of books to kind of bring out because they filter through the Bible. Now, this is a book called Black Indians. Now, this is a black historian letting us know. Guess what? The Indians were black people, men of color, brown skin. So I don't know where they get that red man from. And to go into another fact, that's why they don't want to take down or change the name of the Washington Redskins, because the images that we see predict what your mind thinks.
Yeah, right.
Even though you can see them as being brown, your mind is telling you that they red. Go ahead.
And that's why they got the Cleveland Indians. And they was talking about that. Remember how it was supposed to be this big deal, but they still left it up there despite what the people were saying. Because when you see that Indian that's red, but like you said, it's a fugitive. So he's hiding himself. He's hiding it. So he's when they talking about the red, hey, we call him red because he's the only red man on the planet.
Exactly.
And see, and y'all also search out $5 Indians. Search that out. That's one of the reasons why they call what's it called, the Redskins.
And that $5 Indian, that's the red Indian.
That's the red Indian.
That's the real red Indian.
That's right.
But the original Indians were black people. I'll show y'all a video when we finish this.
The book called the Black Indians, a hidden heritage.
It's a hidden heritage. Guess what? Like they always say, like we always bring, you want to hide something from Negroes, blacks, and Hispanics? Put it in the book, man.
It's written by William Lloyd Katz.
Read that.
To prevent Africans and Native Americans from uniting.
So they was always trying to prevent us from uniting. You know, because we knew as a nation of people that we had one common enemy on the planet. We knew this, even though we knew when they came to America that they killed off the elders. So that's why we didn't know we was brothers. But the more and more we started gathering together, we know like these same people do the same things I do. Read on, huh?
Europeans played skillfully on racial differences.
Read that again, huh?
Europeans played skillfully on racial differences.
So the Europeans played skillfully. They always had a mind to divide and conquer. Because they know the numbers is always on the side of Israel. Read on up.
Okay, Shalak. And ethnic rivalries. They kept the pots of amnesty boiling. Whites turned Indians into slave hunters and slave owners. And Africans into Indian fighters.
That's where you get the term buffalo soldiers from, because they used our own brothers to take down their own brothers.
That's right.
And the Native Americans, that's in that book too. It's a lot of information. We're going to continue to bring that book out, but go ahead.
Light-skinned Africans were pitted against dark-skinned.
Read that again.
Light-skinned Africans was pitted against dark-skinned.
Read on.
Free against enslaved.
The house nigga versus the field nigga. Read on.
Black Indians.
Hold on. And that light skin versus dark skin, because a lot of times they do that. That's another division that the so-called white man tries to exploit amongst our sisters. Now we tell our sisters, y'all come from a very light to a very dark. Love one another as you love yourselves, Israel. That's helping building our nation back together. We putting off all these differences. That's what the Bible is about, putting off the differences and coming back under his law, statutes, and commandments. That's a commandment to love your sister as you love yourself. Read on now.
Blacks against pure Africans or pure Indians.
Is that it on that? Now, guess what? This is what you call cross-referencing books, because we go into another book that everybody should know. This is called the Willie Lynch letter. Now we're gonna read what this says in her. Read Start at page 6 down here.
This is out of the Willie Lynch letter. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slave.
For doing what?
For controlling your black slave.
Because Willie Lynch was a slave owner that he owned slaves, but he also knew how to make them better slaves. Read on now.
I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control your slave for at least 300 years.
For at least what?
For at least 300 years.
So in this book, he telling us he got a foolproof way of keeping our people enslaved.
He was also in the slave trade when they first came up here. So what happened was when he was here, when they first was bringing slaveries over here, they were rebelling all the time. So when this is years before United States brought in 1619, before that time. So what he did was he was, like white people do, experiment on how to break them until they can go to sleep at night and have the slaves doing that, watching each other, policing each other. So he came up with these. After he did his experiments, he began also getting rich by selling this pamphlet to slave owners. It's like selling training your dog.
Exactly. Instruction manual.
Yeah. And that's what he started making his money off of. And then he brought that to the Americas in Virginia and started selling this pamphlet around Americas to everybody that has slaves.
But you got to also think of this too. They have always did experiments.
Exactly.
As even right now today, you can go online right now and you can go online right now and say, hey, they got an experiment for McDonald's. They got experiment for Burger King. They got experiment for all these different drugs that they bring out. They have always done it. They have always done it. And by them doing it, guess what? A lot of those drugs they bring out, guess what? They make you sign this thing. Say, hey, this is what it is. You sign this, guess what? And whatever happened to you, that's what happened. You know what I mean? But we're gonna give you $3,000. We give you $2,000. So guess what? Negro say, we're in problem. Yeah, I'll take that $2,000 or $3,000. Now you be up there. Now you wonder why you got an eye growing in the back of your head.
Read that out.
Look, my message is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it.
Jump over there.
I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger.
And make them what?
And make them bigger.
Read on now.
I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes.
Go ahead. Flip.
Yeah. Okay. On top of my list is age.
Is what?
Is age.
So he learned to divide our people amongst age, putting the old versus the young. Read on.
But it is there only because it starts with an age. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, status on plantations, attitudes of owners.
Jump down here. You must.
Okay, you must see the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slave.
Read that again.
You must see the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slave.
Now, we just read this out of this book right here. So they understand that's what you call cross-referencing book. That's why you know this is true. They use that to divide and conquer us, to teach us lies. Read on now.
And the light-skinned slave against the dark-skinned slave.
That causes division. When you multiply those divisions, destroy each other. Read on now.
You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks.
Do what?
You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it is necessary that your slave trust and depend on us.
Do what?
But it is necessary that your slave trust and depend on us.
That's where Christianity comes into play. Because a lot of times they could be beating your back in, but then they give you that white image of Jesus. This is the only way that you can get to heaven. You know, they sell us these lies. And then guess what? It goes back to 1 Timothy 4:2. That sears in your mind like a hot iron. Because that tradition has been passed on from generation to generation to generation. It never stops. But guess what? Let me see. Let's see what the read that. Go ahead.
They must love and respect and trust only us.
Do what?
They must love and respect and trust only us.
Give me this, because I want to read this. Because it's the way that we break this. And he knew what it was. Read this last little part. Let me put it up. Read this last little part. Because they always know that it's always a plan to kind of go opposite of what their plan is. Read this, Robert. Unless,
okay, you want to start from there?
Yeah.
Unless a phenom,
let's say phenomenon
occurs and reshifts the positions of male and female savages.
Guess what that phenomenon is? The phenomenon is the Bible.
That's right.
Once we get back to learning our place and learning to stay in our lanes, coming back to building a nation, men coming back to being men, women coming back to being women. Guess what? That's that phenomenon that can correct the things that we suffer during that time, Israel. That's why it's very important to get in these scriptures and apply them. It's very important, Israel. That's how you tear down the lies that we have been taught. You got something?
Yeah, it's a scripture you went over earlier, but I want to go back to it. If you go to give me Psalm 64 and start at 5. We'll just hit these two at 5 and 6.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse
5 and 6. Because this is talking about what you just read.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter.
That's what they do. They encourage themselves in how to slave us. They encourage everything they got. And after they put wickedness on us, why they controlling us? Read.
They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them?
And they behind closed doors doing all this, which is what Willie Lynch is selling it to the rest of them. Go ahead.
They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search.
They looking at everything. Everything. They want to know what a peach do to a black man body or a black woman body. They want to know what everything, because if they find out that only works on them and not them, you best believe it'll be in your food.
Why you think they put pork in everything?
Exactly.
Because they know what the pork does to us, man. Why you think we lead in diabetes, heart disease? Because they know that's what they God gonna punish them if they eat that.
Exactly. And like now, even now they find that what you call it, chicken noodle soups. Which everybody buy, throw a little water in there. Got everybody, you know, those being a lot of black family homes. They throwing crustaceans in there. Abominations. Why? Because they know it's no good for our bodies at all. It's nothing. What's that? Shrimp, lobster pieces, all shellfish, abominations. Something that's no good for our bodies. Everything that they find, they search this. They sitting in labs as of right now,
that's right,
figuring out what harms the black man and black woman's body, but don't touch ours. And that's what I promise. That's what's gonna be in your food. That's what's gonna be in your house. Let us something that we always go to the store. That's like we used to get away with eating oxtails. It was good. So man, that mother, you want 4, you got dang $100 for 4 of them. Something that's good for us. No, they wasn't even eating that stuff. That was just something that they laughed at. What they doing? Then they ate it. It's good. But they search these things out. Anything that we got going on, believe me, he's experimenting. That's what you see in a lot of these deaths going around. Right. They snatching. When you see kids snatched up off the street, your kid is snatched up. They getting experimented on.
Probably going to the bush.
Yes.
And 5 or 6 horses already.
You got something?
No, I was going to finish that out.
Yeah, go ahead.
They search, verse 6, they search out iniquity. They accomplish diligent search. Both the inward thoughts of every one of them.
No, the inward thoughts of every one of them. Them meaning us. They looking at, I mean, man, they got your brains open on that table. You think you just you died and you go up there, that's him. You verifying about it. But guess what? The brain is gone. They examine that something gone. They own this stuff. We don't even get to go in there and look at our own people when they die. Guess what? They already got access on that. They are examining everything. They wants to know everything about us because you are a great and a special people. So they want to know. And the only way they gonna stay in their position is finding the ways to kill that great and special people.
That's right. Why you think when on your driver license they make your heart donor?
Yes.
So you got to be an organ donor. And they want that blood when it's hot, man.
Soon
when you die, they want to come get that.
Oh yeah.
That's why you don't get a chance to see them.
As soon as you die,
they need
you
that.
put that organ donor on there, you're gonna be wondering why you was in that wreck. They sent that diesel to crush you.
Right.
Oh, they got good organ. They organ donor. You be wondering why people die like that. Those ain't accidents sometimes. They trying to cause these accidents. But the only way you get out of it is obeying these law, statutes, and commandments, because that's who keeps you.
And the heart is deep. That's it.
Give me Psalms 83. And like we said, the other nations have taught us these things, mainly the so-called white man. You know, so we got to come up out of there. We got to unsear our minds by coming back to the scriptures. And like Willie Lynch said, unless a great phenomenon, which is the Bible.
He used a big word.
Phenomenon. Because this Bible is a phenomenon, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you apply correctly. Let's read about some of the nations. Read that in 83 Psalms.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83, and verse 1. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
So that's what a lot of times you should be praying, asking the Most High. Don't hold back. Don't be peaceful, Most High. That's what David is praying to the Most High. Read on up.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Read that again.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Israel, we have enemies out here, Israel. The Most High has enemies. That's what David is letting us know. God has enemies on the planet. Yes, he created them to be his enemies, people. A lot of times we try to get into the minds of the Most High. You cannot do it. Just go by what the scriptures say. Read on now.
And they that hate thee.
And hold on, read that for lo, thine enemies.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
And a tumult is an angry gathering. Like the EU is a tumult because none of our people sit on the council of the seats in the EU. Right. You know, we're not making any big decisions for our nations of people. Read on up.
And they that hate thee lifted up the hate.
And they that what?
And they that hate thee lifted up the hate.
That's what the other nations hate our God. They hate our God because he didn't choose them. Read on up.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Against what?
Against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel, think tanks, going into the EU, all these different type of council meetings that they have. Read on.
They consult against thy hidden ones.
And we are the hidden ones because they have whitewashed all the images that we have had. We ruled Europe for thousands of years, painted imagery. A lot of that stuff is still over there because it was so much that they couldn't whitewash all of it. But guess what? They're going to restrict you access to get into some of those cathedrals, into some of those underground places up under the Europe and so forth. Read on out.
They have said, come.
Rome. Go ahead.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Read this again.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
The other nations, because like, guess what? It wasn't just the white man just couldn't do it by himself. That's what this is. This is basically going into a hit list. This is really what this is. They cut us off from being a nation. So from them doing that, guess what? The Most High got it out for them. They took our nationality, took our laws, statutes, and commandments. Read on up.
And this is a powerful verse, man. This right here, man, this lines up, man. This Bible lines up to the T, man. That's why we walking around trying to be Egyptologists. That's why we walk around here trying to be every other person but who God told you to be.
Exactly.
And this is heavy, man. Man, y'all, when y'all listen, y'all hear certain precepts, man, y'all need to meditate on those things, man. And let it sink into your mind like, dang, man, this stuff is true about us, man.
Read that from the top again, huh?
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Changing the Sabbath to Sunday. Telling us we can celebrate Christmas. Telling us that we can eat pork. That's how they cut us off from being a nation, because we ask our brothers and sisters, what's your nationality according to the Bible? Depending on how old they is, they'll give you black, 1986, African-American, Afro-American. That's a damn hairstyle. You know, depending on how old you is, what answer you will get. In the 1950s, they was colored. Earlier than that, they was niggas, niggers, Negroes. So it goes on and on. That's what cutting you off does to your people. It keeps you lost, and then you gravitate to anything that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Read on now.
And then it say cut us off from being a nation, and it would cut us off into being separate nations. Because now we're not just a nation of Israel. We got some of our people think they're Mexicans.
Yeah.
They think they other things. We think we're African Americans. You know what I'm saying? That's cutting it and making one nation into different type of nations.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
And that's a good point, because we out there, guess what? We out there for the lost tribes of Israel, not just Judah. We out there for Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, Zebulun, all the way down to Naphtali. We out there for all our people. That's why we tell brothers and sisters we out there for the blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans. We are all one people.
That's right.
And that's some of the lies that we're turning down too. That's why we got this book called Black Indians. Let you know that the original Indians were men of color. They were so-called brown pigmentation, not red, like how we have been taught. Go ahead,
that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So they did these things so Israel wouldn't be no more in remembrance. Because when we in our rightful mind, we tormented the nations. During the time of King David wasn't playing no games with the nations. That's why King Solomon had 40 years of peace.
That's right.
Because King David spent 40 years putting them to death, man. They understand once we come back together, we are God's army on this planet to enforce his laws. That's what our job is as a nation. Read on now.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
So all the other nations came together with one consent. Because you know damn well the East Indians don't like the Caucasians, but they agree just on this one consent. Let's read it.
They are confederate against thee.
That they are confederate against the Israelites. They came together to be against us. Even though they don't like each other, they hate us even more. Right. Read on now.
The tabernacles of Edom.
So now the Most High is going to list who these nations are. The tabernacles of Edom, the house of Edom. The Edomites today are the so-called Caucasians, Israel, according to Genesis 25:25. Read on now.
And the Ishmaelites.
The Ishmaelites are the so-called Arabs today. Because we got a lot of this doctrine that Esau is Ishmael. So if Esau is Ishmael, who the hell is Ishmael?
Come on with it, man.
That makes no sense. It just don't. So who are the Arabs? What tribe are they from? Now we know from Ishmael, we know that that's the Arabs. People got to stop trying to be deep and just come back to what the Bible is telling us.
Right.
We know when a lot of people don't understand that, they're suffering a little bit from secret sins. You have to keep God's commandments, or else he is not going to give you this understanding, people. Right. Read on now.
Of Moab.
Of Moab. Moab is the so-called Chinese today. Read on now.
Of Hagarene.
The Hagarenes, right. The Hagarenes are African. Read on.
Gabal.
Gabal is Africans. Read on.
Ammon.
Ammon is the so-called Japanese today. Read on.
And Amalek.
And Amalek is the so-called fake Jewish that's over there pretending to be us.
In our homeland.
In our homeland, exactly. All right, read on.
The Philistines.
The Philistines, ancient Africans. Read on.
And with the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre, another African tribe. Read on.
Assur.
Go ahead.
Also is joined with them.
Assur is going into the Assyrians. Read on now.
They have hoping the children of Lot.
They have hope and helping the children of Lot, which is going back to Moab and Ammon, because that's where that lineage comes from. Read on now.
Do not them as unto the Midianites, as to the
Sisera,
as to Jabin at the brook of Kison.
And that's all we need on that. Now give me 2 Corinthians 11:3. So the Most High just lists the nations that are against us. I would say it's 18 nations on the planet Earth. It's not thousands like they portrayed the EU, hundreds of nations. You won't get that in the scriptures. You got that up?
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 3. But I fear by any means as the serpent beguiled Eve.
That's the what?
As the serpent beguiled Eve.
That serpent is going into man, the other nations, tricked Eve. Read on up.
through his subtlety.
Through his trickery. Read on.
So your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
He's letting us know, don't get simple-minded, because guess what? Or don't be corrupt in your mind, because it's simple to read in Revelations chapter 1 verse 14 that Christ is a black man. That is simple in Daniel's 10:5 to read that he's a so-called black man. So when you letting the other nations trick you and corrupt your mind, hey, that's falling off. It's simple to understand that the so-called Negroes, when you read the curses in Deuteronomy, that we are the children of Israel, and also the Native Americans and Hispanics, because they fall up under those curses too. Read on, huh?
For if he that cometh preaching another Jesus,
read that again.
For if he that cometh preaching another Jesus.
See, Paul was giving us the advice, or the alerting us that guess what? In the latter days, it was going to be a nation of people coming to preach another Jesus. And we know, like we always say, there is no Chinese image of Christ. There's no East Indian image of Christ. There is no Japanese image of Christ. What nation portrays themselves to be Christ? By a process of elimination, it only comes down to one nation, the Edomites that the Bible speaks of. Read on now.
Whom we have not preached.
Whom we have not what?
Whom we have not preached.
Read on.
Or if ye receive another spirit.
Because with that spirit teaches all men can be saved. God, you can make it to the kingdom of heaven if you're dealing in homosexuality or in lesbianism. That's going into another spirit. That's what that image of sexual brochure puts on our people.
And see, our people don't understand the easiest way to get to your mind is through your eyes.
Exactly.
So when you see that image, you're like, dang, that's the Lord, that's our Savior. Man, look here, man. A white Jesus is not finna come back and save no group of black people, man. Let's just keep this thing real, man. Because in no history when have y'all seen a white man come back and save us at any time in our history? It never happened. So you think it's gonna happen at the latter ends of the? Come on, man. Gotta be at y'all.
Yeah, I mean, man. Matter of fact, we gotta read this too on this. Read this from Black Indians. This is my boy here, Hatui, man. Read the last part, because even our forefathers knew this, man. They even knew this. Read this last part.
In 1512.
No, from the top.
Okay. When captured, Native American resistant leaders were ceremonially put to death. In 1512, Hatui Atino, Tanino, who fought the invaders in Hispaniola, and Cuba was captured and was asked.
Hold up. So we had one of our forefathers that was captured, and they was about to put him to death. Let's see what he said. Read this.
And was asked him by a priest.
Our forefather said, read this.
No. He answered, I would only find more Christians there.
Read that again.
He said, no. He answered, I would only find more Christians there.
He said, hell no. Put me to death, because if I'm going where you're going, it's only going to be more of you. And he knew, guess what? In they heaven, you still going to be a slave. So he already knew that, no, I want to go to hell. Just send me there. So even our ancestors knew this, because they knew that those types of religions put different spirits on them.
That's right.
And they knew these people was putting them to death. How can two people that don't even agree join together? You got some? Oh, good. Which one? You good? Go back to 2 Corinthians 11 and 4.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 4. For if he that cometh preaching another Jesus, whom we have not preached.
Because the forefathers didn't know nothing about no sexual brochure. You know, they didn't know nothing about God loves everybody. That we don't have to keep the commandments. Man, try telling Nehemiah that you ain't have to keep the commandments no more. Man, he wasn't gonna play. He was gonna put you to death on the spot, man.
That's right. That's right.
Read on, huh?
Or if he receive another spirit, which have not received, which ye have not received, or another gospel.
Or another what?
Or another gospel.
Because guess what? The gospel means good news. The good news is that the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, we get the kingdom.
And they say, show me the gospel. This is the gospel.
Exactly.
The whole book is the gospel.
Yep.
Read on out.
which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
So we got to understand, put off all these lies. Come back to these scriptures. Give me Matthew 24:4. Because Christ was even warning us the same thing. So a lot of Paul was pulling this from too. Saying the same thing. We got to understand. Sometimes scriptures may be worded differently, but the meaning is the same.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
So Christ was even giving us a warning. Let no man deceive you through his philosophies, through his doctrines, through all these things that they perpetrate. Read on up.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
And shall deceive many. Guess what? So many deceive is 2/3 of our people that's not going to repent.
That's right.
Because they deceive in this world. Give me Ephesians 4:14.
And they not all coming back as no so-called white man either. We had what is his name? Ben
What?
the one of the Israelite that claimed he was Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, what's his name? Ben Yahweh.
Yahweh ben
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
You gotta be careful and know who Yahweh Shai is. Know who he is according to his Bible, because a lot of people were deceived by that.
See, but the thing is, you can't just get caught up in the one part, because some of the stuff that the brother had, he had some good stuff, but you got to weed through that, man. Like the Most High gonna do with us, he gonna sift. So the information that you get, you got to sift through some of that stuff, because some of them brothers be wicked, but some of them brothers he had used in the beginning stages that he used, but in the latter stage, them brothers went the hell off, man.
And and some of them like that. Some of them they got to the point where they had the knowledge, and they was going by the knowledge.
Yeah.
And then pride.
But it's simple, man.
Pride is beginning to
It's simple. If our Lord ain't coming down here to work in captivity with us, teach with us. When he coming back to destroy, man. He ain't coming down here to get no job for a little while. You know what I'm saying? And come out here and teach on the street with us for a little while. He ain't coming back to do none of that. So any man coming down here, where he wake up Monday or Sunday morning, he got to go to work in the morning. That's not your house shot.
That's right.
Give me Ephesians 4:14.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children.
Be no more what?
Be no more children.
And that's going into children's and understanding. You know, it comes a time where you got to put off all the lies.
Right.
You know, stop celebrating these holidays because you're doing it for the children. You know, you got to man up. You got to woman up. And hey, I'm not celebrating that. You know, life is better than death. Guess what? You want your spirit to live, people. That's the whole thing. Read on, huh?
Tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine.
And doing what?
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
Egyptology.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
Islam.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
Because guess what? I was once carried away with every wind of doctrine. Watching ancient aliens. All this type of crap that don't have no profit for me getting into the kingdom of heaven. Trying to be a deep thinker. Hotep, my brother. All this different type of stuff. I gotta laugh too, brother. Now that I understand it, boy, that's straight madness, man. The laws is what makes you wise, Israel. You want knowledge and wisdom? Keep God's laws, and He'll give them to us, man. Read that from the top again, huh?
That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro.
Don't be tossed to and fro in these religions, man. Stick to what the Bible says. Read on.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men.
When you hearing something else, and we gotta warn our sisters and our brothers about out there window shopping with these different camps sometimes. That's what this really is going into, because a brother is a good speaker and can talk really good. You carried away with that wind of doctrine.
Oh, he might be cute. Because some of you women get stuck up into that too. It's just he cute. He got some good hair. Come on, man.
He got a nice beard.
Come on, man.
The brother wicked as hell. So don't be carried away by all that. You know. Go ahead, read on now.
And cunning, crafty.
Because guess what? We got some brothers in this truth that's cunning and crafty too. We got some wicked Israelites, people. Read on now.
Whereby they lie and wait to deceive.
And whereby they what?
They lie in wait to deceive.
Get you to come on, join my congregation, then be up in there telling you all types of lies.
And next thing you know, you in this congregation. Next thing you know, you don't understand why your dress got off. Now you don't understand y'all doing something that you like, Lord, I don't know what I just did. Come on, man.
You have to watch out.
You got to watch out. What you call what's his name? Lenny Lonnie Love. What's his name? Come on, man. No, but on the serious matter things though, when you look at and you get into y'all got to understand. That's why the Most High said, man, look, you got to stick with where you at, man. And he's gonna give you more than enough, man.
And like we tell brothers and sisters, line it up with the scriptures. The scriptures determine if what they saying is true or not. That's the whole thing. Let the scriptures decide that. Let the scriptures discern what's the truth and what's a lie. Give me 1 John 3 and what is it? 3 and 21.
Yeah.
So give me 1 Corinthians 2 and 14.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 2 and verse 14. But the natural man receive not the things of the Spirit of God.
Read that again.
But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God.
The natural man is going into a man that's in religion, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam. The Most High is not going to give you the understanding when you dwelling in that wicked philosophy. The Most High is looking for spiritual men and women to give his understanding to. Men and women that know to keep the laws of the Most High God. Because that's what being in the Spirit is. Being in the Spirit is keeping God's laws at all times. Because that's what you will hear us say a lot of times, stay in the Spirit. You know, stay in God's laws. You know, that's just short for that. Read on now.
For they are foolish unto him.
For they are foolishness unto him. That's foolishness when the Most High God seeing natural brothers doing that type of thing. Read on now.
Neither can he know them.
And guess what? The Most High God don't even know them. So when brothers and sisters telling everybody is a child of God, the Most High does not know you, man. Read on now.
Because they are spiritually discerned.
Because they are what?
Because they are spiritually discerned.
That means they can't spiritually understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's going into. Give me 1 Corinthians 3 and 19.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3 and verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God.
Read that again.
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God.
Most High God said the wisdom that this world has, that's foolishness with him. That's going into all these politics, all this religion. That's foolishness. If it's not straight out of the Bible, it's straight out of a lie. And our people got to understand that. Read on now.
For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
He do what?
He taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
Because he gonna make the other nations' tongue fall on their own sword. He gonna bring it back on them. The precept to that is Job 5 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
Give me let me get this last precept. Give me Revelation chapter 22, verse 14.
The book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life.
So this is the only way the Israelites is gonna have right to the tree of life. If we having the faith in Yahushua and keeping the commandments. Read on.
And may enter in through the gates into the city.
Because you don't want to be that one. You had your ticket punched and hey, you got a big angel at the gate. No, restricting you access to the kingdom of heaven. You want to know for sure that you're getting in, people. That's what this is all about. Putting off all the lies. Making your elect sure with the Most High God. Read on out.
And may enter in through the gates into the city. Verse 15.
Yeah.
For without are dogs.
For without are dogs. Read on.
And sorcerers.
And
And whoremongers.
And
and murderers. And idolatry.
Yeah.
And whosoever loveth and make a lie,
and do what? Read that last part again.
and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie,
And whosoever make it and love it, they lie. So it's time to wake up and come up out of these lies, Israel. And with that, we say shalom.
say shalom. Also, we always say we're gonna keep the commandments, and we teach on the street to keep the commandments. So we're gonna start putting it out into our classes, either at the beginning or at the end. We're gonna come out with a commandment for Israel. You got one out here?
I want this one from last week. Give me is it? I think so. Yeah. If we know somebody. Oh, Leviticus 5:1.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 5 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
If a soul sin
Uh-huh.
and hear the voice of swearing and is a witness,
And is a what?
and is a witness,
So this is going into, if you see somebody breaking God's laws or doing something unlawful and you are a witness to that, read on.
whether he seen or known of it,
Whether you have seen or just unheard about it, read on.
if he do not utter it,
If you do not call them out on it or correct our brothers on it, read on.
then he shall bear his
Then
iniquity.
he shall what?
Then he shall bear his iniquity.
Because we got to understand, when we correcting our brothers, guess what? That put crime out of our nation. That puts whoremongering out of our nation. That helps build us up into a strong nation, Israel.
That's right.
And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
We'll break. Oh,
Hold on.
okay.
You can go ahead.
Yeah.